so I try to say, like, the big important stuff, maybe do on, like, day 2 as opposed to day 1. But I think that being able to get to know each other, them to know who is teaching their class, and learn some cooperative learning, working together in order to set expectations for the class and to start the school year on the right foot is an important thing. So normally just welcome them to class for a couple of minutes. You know, you're in pre-algebra. We're going to work really hard this year. We're going to enjoy our time together. And we'll get into some of those things that that we will be doing in our upcoming classes. And then I tell them that they're going to take we're going to start off the year with a quiz. And I don't expect you to know the answers, but I want you to give them your best bet. So I give them a worksheet, have them put their name, birthday, because I like to know their birthdays, class on the front of it. I say fold it in half. So give your best guess, and they have 10 multiple choice questions about me, similar to what I had them do with you when we did the smart response. I can send that to you if you want it. And then I just give them, a couple of minutes, and then, do you want to see if your answers are correct? And so then I go through each of the correct answers and have them, raise their hand with whatever answers they chose, and share with them some things. And I have, pictures and answers and just a way for them to get to know a little bit about who's going to be part of their life for the next year. And then give them some time to answer some questions about themselves so that I can get to know a little bit more about them. And I refer to them periodically throughout the year. The birthdays is the big one that I take from it, but they, some of them put little extra things that they like, or they want me to know about them, or they say, oh, you like horses, I do too, and so it's an easy way to automatically get some connection things for the next time that they come.
Can I take this quiz?
Sure. Oh, but you can't. Well, and I have to do it big screen so you don't see the answers.
Oh yeah, I didn't even.
There you go.
Volleyball.
Orchestra.
Really? What'd you play?
Violin and viola.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and then after 8th grade it was done.
Oh, okay.
But I played violin.
Where are you at?
I don't remember. I played violin starting in 2nd grade.
Okay, I'll look through the
grade.
picture later
Yeah.
and see if I can find you. Brother? You have a brother.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure you just have one. Okay, good.
But then now I've started to tell them, well, I actually have a sister-in-law, so if you got 2, I'll give it to you.
Oh, okay. Running. And horseback riding. Oh, those two. I'm going to choose horseback riding.
Is that all of the above? So then everybody gets it right.
Sam. Texas.
California,
You were
actually.
born in California.
Mhm. But lived in Texas.
Cool.
Just did it. See, they start thinking they're smart because they see Texas or something around, and they're like, Texas.
Cats, dogs, and rabbits. Can I choose more than one?
No. You've caught on to me, of course, but dogs.
Dogs, okay. Wow. Love German Shepherds.
Mm-hmm.
Math? No, yeah, okay.
Yep.
Walk across Spain. All of them.
So then I get to tell them a little story.
You were young in the
That's
Niagara
okay.
Falls picture.
Yeah. That was after my freshman year of college.
You're so young. That's cute. What? You're a dog trainer.
I did my short stint of English, but
Huh.
nothing else.
Cool. Okay. Gummy bears. Or tamales. Gummy bears. Horrible.
But I like all.
All the above. Yeah. That's fine.
Then they have a little chance to, and so their questions kind of mimic what I did, but it's fun to get to know about them. So we go through that for a little while.
Okay.
And then we do our class agreements. And
Class agreements?
I went to before I came to Panama, I had always heard about it and never, I finally got to go right before Panama to a workshop called Capturing Kids' Hearts. And if you ever, it's based out of Texas, but I know it goes national. If you ever have the opportunity, go. It's for just classroom, I guess kind of management and just classroom environment in general, but also connecting with kids. And then you can use it like if you have a kind of a leadership group or like in my public schools, I could see it being used really well if you have a group of kids that are in like an elective class, but the elective is like, you know, kind of one of those college bound, so kids that might not normally be college bound kids, but they're in an elective to help them see that those are their options. And so it's kind of a smaller class where they're really doing a lot of community building to work towards a goal. I could see they have a whole kind of curriculum for those type of classes. But one of the things that I really liked in this whole philosophy, because it really is a philosophy, is how they built their agreements. And so I've done it for the past several years, and I really like it. The workshop emphasizes the continuity of these agreements, so going back and as my side note, they also say, like, you need to use our whole philosophy and not just parts of it, otherwise it's not going to work completely. And I've just used parts of it. And I haven't used the parts 100% effectively, but I think the initial task is a really good one, and I think that it helps set a good stage for the kids. So I'll totally share it with you. I don't know if it would be helpful not having heard their explanation and have the resources available, and I didn't bring the book that they gave me, but I can bring it tomorrow if I remember. But I've come to really like it. And so I split the kids into 4 different groups. 4 different groups. I tell them that in their 4 different groups of 5 people, they need to each have a role. The facilitator, make sure everybody's participating, and make sure every answer is well defined. So we talk about what a well defined answer is in a moment. Scribe writes down for the group, spokesperson speaks, on-task person keeps everybody focused, and affirmer acknowledges and supports their group members. And I tell them you're going to have 4 answers, or 4 questions on the board, and I want you to write down like 4 words that or 3 words, I think, that are a response to the prompt. Your word needs to be well defined, so you're not going to say just respect. You're going to say, what does respect look like in this situation? So the first question, brainstorm 2 to 4 words for each question. How do you want to be treated by me? So if they say, I want to be treated respectfully, I say, you know, what does that look like?
What does it mean?
Miss Dennis calls me by name, or Miss Dennis, you know, doesn't yell at me, or, you know, what does that mean? Be able to describe that, what respect looks like for the group, because I may ask you to elaborate. So I give them about 15 minutes to go through each of the questions, only brainstorming 2 to 4 words for each question, but having a good discussion about them. So then how do you want to be treated by each other? How do you think I want to be treated by you? And how do we treat each other when there's a conflict? And so then we come back together, and I have one person, so I have my like block A agreements on the board. One person has a pen or a marker, and I say, you know, you can't write anything until I give you the go-ahead. And you just need to write one list, not make it fancy or anything. Nothing stands out more than others. One list, spelling doesn't count. Just write it down. And so then I start with the first question and first group. So I say, how do you want to be treated by me, Ms. Dennis? And this group will say, I want you to treat us fairly. And so I might ask them, well, what does fair look like? Or what did that mean to your group? And so they'll explain it a little bit. And I say, okay, I can agree to treat you fairly. And so we write fair on the board. And then the next group, I say, what word do you have that's different? Or do you have any other words to add to that? And they say, well, we want to be treated respectfully. So I ask again, what does that look like? And they and write it on the board. And we keep going around, so we do one word at a time.
And talk about it?
And some of them, more than others. But talk about it enough, and then keep going around the room until we've gotten through all of the words of that question. I won't put all the words up there because sometimes I'll say like if one group says caring and the next group says nice, so I see that up there. I might have said, well, so we have caring up here. Is being nice the same thing as being caring to your group?
So you're kind of selective about what goes up there.
But like that group, for example, like I would say that those probably are two of the same thing, but the group that said nice had another explanation and they didn't feel like caring and nice were the same thing, so we put nice up there as well.
Got it.
I have my list of things that my non-negotiables that I want on there. So I'll manipulate what they're saying at some point in time if they haven't gotten the ones that I want up there. I also choose some situations that I want to bring up so that I know that we've had certain conversations. Like, I know that at some point each group is going to say fair. They want to be treated fairly.
It's up there.
And I know some things that I want them to be aware of with fairness. So with fairness, whoever says it first, I say, okay, so let's think about this situation. Your homework is due on Monday. Neither Katie nor Julia bring their homework, okay? They both get a 0. The expectation is, the next day you bring it back, it's 20 points off. Katie brings hers back, she makes an 80. Julia brings hers back and she makes 100. Is that fair? And they say, no. I say, now what if I told you that Katie just didn't do hers because she was lazy, but Julia had a family emergency. They were in the emergency room all night long. Her mom sent me a note saying she couldn't do her homework, but I accepted the next day. Should I still give her full credit? Well, yeah, you should. So, but do you have all that information? No, we don't know all that. So, can you trust me enough that if Katie gets an 80 and I get a 100, I'm still being fair even though you don't have all of the information in front of you because you're the student and not the teacher? And they're like, oh yeah, okay. So like those are some things that I want them to know, that I will be as fair as possible, but sometimes that's not going to look the same to you. And it's not going to look equal for every student. If somebody has trouble, walks with a limp and has to kick a soccer ball, and they can't do it well, but the next person can kick it and make a goal, am I going to treat them equally when I'm grading them for soccer? No, I'm not, for obvious reasons. So there's conversations like that I
try to bring up.
Manipulate. Active listening is another one. Like, what does that look like? If you're actively listening, is it just that you're being quiet, or is it that you're being quiet and really paying attention to what that other person has to say? So I've got my list of things, and as they're working through each of these questions, I can manipulate the conversation enough so that all of my points get spoken about.
Good.
And so then we go through, question number 2, and like undoubtedly they'll say, how do we want to be treated?